Hello, welcome to today's astrology study group. And I've been wanting to look at the chart of this guy for a little while. I've heard him speak on many things recently, and he is very, very knowledgeable. Oh my goodness. Wow. just wow. When you listen to him and you back up and you research what he says, I mean, he's just on point and he's very, very sharp. So I wanted to look him up, and I found his birth time on a website, and it was from some astrologer. I forget his name. It's in my notes. Somebody I hadn't heard of, but the article ran it on a sidereal time, and it's a different way of looking at astrology. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I use tropical astrology, so I ran it with that, and I haven't found anybody else or anything else out there on him. Most people have, or most things have just his chart without the birth time. So taking it, this is correct. And I put it as an equal house system just to make it easier to look at. And there's a lot of advantages to that when we're looking at stuff, at charts. So anyway, it puts him, because he's kind of in the middle, of things. And he was born in Cincinnati. Get rid of that bar, it's in my way. Okay. And to immigrants, I think. So Indian, Hindu immigrants. It's kind of just all I saw. But anyway, I wanted to look at his chart because he's definitely out there. He speaks well. He's not afraid to speak. He gets in there. He has knowledge. He has facts. He's very eloquent in his speaking. He's done a lot. Interesting guy. So anyway, I just want to look at him more astrologically. So we have a Leo. He's born like kind of right in the middle. He's there at 17 degrees, just after the mid part of that cycle. So we know that that's a very powerful time, right in the middle of Leo, the fixed sign. And it's conjunct Mercury, and that's not a real big deal. A lot of, Mercury hovers around the sun, so it's oftentimes conjunct, but it's right next to it. It's like a 1 degree conjunction. So that's pretty tight. That's pretty good. So the sun and Mercury fuse together. So there's that mind, right? That the sun, it's like who he is expressive, is communicative, is knowledgeable, that right there. And then in Leo, he's not afraid to be out there speaking. And then we have Mars close by. It's in this little trio here of Leo, a trio of Leo. It's 7 degrees away from the sun. So it's still conjunct, but it's a little bit wider. But that still adds energy to this whole stuff. It's like it's not quite sucked right into the sun. It's got a little distance there. So it just makes for a lot of drive and energy. And then if this birth time is correct, the Capricorn rising, I would say that there would be Capricorn somewhere prominent in his chart because he's done so much already, and then that, he was, what did he say? He's just recently kind of become enlightened to a lot of things. So I forget, I'm trying to think of the right words he used. Anyway, it's in his story. But he's been a CEO of company. I think is he an attorney? I forget. Anyway, I don't hold on to that stuff real deeply. But anyway, he's got a lot of accomplishments already. So there's right in the middle of Capricorn, climbing that corporate, area, or that uphill, not corporate, that business, like that its own mountain. Okay, let's just leave it at that. So that's there. So that shows some really ambition, or somebody really, is ambitious. And then we have this curious little grouping here in Scorpio, at the midheaven. His midheaven is because I set it to equal house, it's falling in his 10th house. And let me move this. So his the beginning of his 10th house is Libra, but yet the midheaven is in Scorpio in his 10th house. And it's also really close to the south node. It's, 6 degrees, let's say what, 4 degrees away. Gosh, I can't stop yawning. I like this. Sometimes you get those oxygen, like, oh God, I need oxygen. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's real close to the south node, his midheaven. Interesting. So maybe, again, it's not all about him. It's about him using himself as a tool to bring forth whatever, whatever he's bringing forth. But, being that it's by the south node and being that he's got Hindu parents, that, that's definitely going to be a little bit more of a spiritual grounding at this person. So then that brings the north node down into the fourth house. I got to move that bar again there. Down into the fourth house of Cancer and home. Interesting. So north node, where he's going, is more into that Cancerian home, kind of cushy feelings, but maybe for all on one level. I don't know. We have to wait and see kind of how that pans out. But then it's curious that the south node is close to his midheaven. So that seems more, again, like he's not doing it for him. He's doing it for something beyond himself. And then we got a close by Saturn. It's like it's a little bit of distance away, but it's still there. So that kind of puts some of that, that Saturnian touch to that Scorpionic way. It could be a higher form of enlightenment, because Scorpio is deep and does understand depth. And this guy does definitely have depth. So at the midheaven, this is showing the depth of this guy, and then being that it's in, it's like the Libra started out on that house, the Libra cusp, made it, that cardinal sign. He's got, the cardinals on those key points. But that's definitely representative and aware of others. If it were Aries on the midheaven, it would be quite a different story. See what else here. There's quite a bit going on. All right. Well, that's the first thing that kind of, just like seeing the groupings, you look at the sun, Leo, ascendant, Capricorn, moon. Now, this is interesting. The moon just moved into Gemini. At this time, if this time is correct, we have a busy moon, and I could kind of see that. He doesn't seem like he has a Taurus moon. This guy seems, even the way he looks too, he's kind of that, that busy. My husband has a Gemini moon, and their minds they're very clever, and they're on it, and their wit is just uncanny, and being like this close, it's just jumping into the sign. So I think that this is true. This seems like this person. So as we observe him, it's be interesting to keep this in mind. Again, the birth time was affirmed by an astrologer who got, access to the birth records in Cincinnati. Okay. So anyway, we got all the differences here. So we have a fixed, a fixed fire sun. We have a cardinal earth moon, rising, and we have an air, something like a mutable air moon. So we got all these differences. Nothing's really, gets along with it, with himself. They're all different. So is it let's see, yeah, right. We've got cardinal, fixed, mutable, and then we've got, which one's not represented? Let's say we have fire, earth, air, and then no water here, but we got all the water up near the top of his chart. So it's pretty balanced, kind of like that. Any other air? Yeah, Jupiter is in, we got moon and then Jupiter both in air signs, and they're kind of a wide trine here, at least by air sign, they're trine. That's kind of nice. And then it would be trining the midheaven, up there at 15. I shouldn't say the midheaven. I'm sorry, the cusp of the cusp, the 10th house cusp. Put it that way. 10th house cusp. All right, what else do we have here with him? So we've got this energizing Leo. We've got this depthy Scorpio. We've got this varied. I don't want this to default here. Hold on. Okay, I hope my audio is okay. Something just changed, but just came up, said this changed. So anyway, I apologize if it's not. All right, back to Vivek. So he's also got, let's see, let's just look a little bit more. He's got Venus in a water sign. So that's interesting too. That's a real nice touch, being in Cancer. So that's like a real caring, place to have Venus. And then it's trining over to the midheaven, and it's a wider trine. I mean, it's right on the midheaven, Venus to the midheaven, 8 and 9 degrees. That's pretty cool. And then it would be again close to the south node. So he has like a want to help, and then that's in this. If it's true, it's in the 6th house of help, of service. It's in the Virgo house, which is a feminine sign, and then house, because it's that polarity, and then as well as it being in Cancer, and that's a positive, a negative or feminine polarity, so that gets along. That's what I'm trying to say. Venus, it's in a feminine sign in a feminine house, so it's happy, and it's able to bring that forth. And then it's making a what do we got? We got over there. Anything else? Venus, 8, 9, 10, 11, kind of a wide, what would that be? An inconjunct over a quincunx over to Jupiter. Yeah, a little bit. So they're kind of not really seeing eye to eye. He's probably is easy for him to maybe make money and flow, and doesn't really even think about it. It's kind of service oriented. It's just easy for him to do that. The Capricorn rising there. All right, let's look at that. So Capricorn rising would then be opposing, quincunxing his Sun and Mercury, because that's like one off, right? If it were opposing, it would be Cancer, but it's one off. So that's, again, they have nothing in common. So his rising sign, how people see him as this successful, driven person is that's kind of like it gets along with this. It says similar things to the Sun and Mercury. That like wants to be out there on stage talking, and doing something with this energy. So it seems like, he's driven to unify, what he knows through his personality, and then funnel it down into a serious way. So people see him as, he doesn't joke around. He's very serious, but he's mild mannered. He's very, I say that Libra up there near the top of his chart there, on the cusp of his 10th house, is how, he comes across very diplomatic. He's very skilled. He'll validate somebody in what they said, and then just turn it right around and it's like, now this is where you're wrong. And it's very, very skilled speaker. Okay, what else do we notice about him? Most of his planets, let's see, his planets would go from, like, if we took, like, it would be the Gemini house, which would be the 3rd house. Most of his planets would then go, just kind of, the planets themselves would occupy the right-hand side of his chart. We got one, we got the moon over the left-hand side. Why does this keep defaulting to this? This is weird. The default microphone has changed. So weird. Okay. Got my attention, sorry. So we've got a little bit of this kind of odd things at odds with each other with him, but most of the planet, or I was saying the sign energy, is on the right hand side of the chart. Now, I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's like he's got, again, Gemini, he's got something in Cancer, which would then, Gemini starts. See, this is the house of Gemini, the third house. The fourth house is the house of Cancer. The fifth house is Leo. Dot, 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 dot. So his signs go all the way to Capricorn, this planet. But let's just cut off these two outer planets because that's kind of generational, and say we're just going to extend it over to Scorpio. So he has things from Gemini over to Scorpio, and most of that would be on the right hand side or others. So that's kind of what he's concerned with, but he does it in a kind of a more, what would they say? It's not the pure energy of it. It's more of the refined energy of it, because most of his, other than the moon, well, let's see, 1, 2, he's got 3 planets below, and 1, 2, 3, we're not going to count the outer ones, 4 above. So about half, I would say, so let's say, a little bit more on the upper part of his chart than the lower. And then we got the sun on the upper, let's give that like an extra 2 points. So he's a little bit more heavier up top, with like how people see him and how he comes across. Got that Leo, that Leo is happy. The sun is happier to be up there. I mean, it likes to be in its 5th house, but it likes to be where people can see it. The moon and Venus doesn't mind being on the bottom part of the chart. The moon, even though it's in busy Gemini, in the 5th house of Leo, his sun, that's where I think maybe his sun and moon get along, because his moon is in where the sun would want to be, in the 5th house. So they've got some a little bit more commonality there. It kind of helps smooth that out a little bit. Let's just hang with this just a little bit here. So most of his, we're going to give it a little heavier emphasis on the upper part of the chart, which is about him, and how people see him, and he's out there. So that would make sense that it would double validate the Leo stuff. So the Leo is already wanting to be seen and out there, and then he's got more planets on the upper part of his chart, which wants to be seen and is out there, and that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, he's a good speaker. He's out there. He wants to be seen. He's pleasant. Leo is usually a pleasant sign. And then the Scorpio, even though there's not a lot in it. I mean, we got the midheaven itself is there, and the North Node, and then we got Pluto. But let's not count that so much. But Saturn is there. Saturn in the South Node in the midheaven, in Scorpio. So Saturn there gives him depth, and it like keeps him kind of glued to finding out the truth. He will just go down. I mean, Saturn there, he will go down a rabbit hole and find and investigate the whole hole. I think I've never said that. The whole hole. WHOLE, HOLE. The whole hole, rabbit hole. So anyway, it's like Saturn makes you dot your I's and cross your T's, and Scorpio is depth, and it's intense, and it's it won't let up. It's like, pit bull. It's just, it will not let up. All right. All right, let's see. What else we got here? So upper part of the chart, the right-hand part of the chart, Libra up there. We got an out, we got somebody that could be that politician, but I say maybe a bit more respectful or higher-minded politician. That's what it's supposed to be. All right, what else do we have here? What else do we have here? So those are the big ones. What else do we see? How about Mars? Let's see, Mars. Let's see, anything? Okay, he's got Saturn. So we got like a Saturn square. It's 21 degrees over to his Sun and Mercury conjunction, right? So the Mercury is even a little closer. 3 and 4 degrees. So we got a little bit of, determinism, willpower. He's going to go he's going to go the walk there. And it's just interesting. The sun is in the 8th house. Sun and Mercury are in the 8th house, the Scorpio house. So that has that intensity, and then he's got all that stuff in Scorpio, and then it's and it's squaring over to Saturn. Saturn is in the 11th house, a little bit more egalitarian house, so that is bringing that influence into this. So that's interesting. That groups and others energy, that rebel also, the rebel Saturn in Scorpio here with then Uranus here too. That would just add to this. I'm gonna just like all of a sudden just get in your face with the truth. And then and then with that depth of Scorpio. So that's interesting. So that's like double there. So we got a kind of more Scorpio emphasis because this is in the 8th house and all that. And then it just ties that in, with the others. So then we go look where, where's anything in Aquarius, and he's got Jupiter in Aquarius. It's because that, it is also associated with the 11th house as Saturn is. Saturn is, rules Capricorn, the 10th, and Aquarius, the 11th. Modern ruler, Uranus, would then be in its own house, and then it would be, what's the sign in Jupiter? Where is the sign of this? Where's the Aquarius? It's over here. Jupiter is in it, and Jupiter is then bringing that Aquarian ideal to the masses, to the people. He's speaking to populace. He's speaking the truth. He's calling out a lot of the NWOs. He's calling out a lot of the fakes. He's calling out the lies, and he's backing it up. He's got that Scorpio intensity. So this is guy definitely worth listening to and paying attention to. All right, anything else? We can go on for hours and hours. Let me just comb over it one more time. See anything else? Thinking any. So yeah, I guess we got like we would have, if we have the moon nodes, we could say we have a grand fixed square, right? We would, kind of a loose one. We got the moon nodes here, and then we have Jupiter. This is all fixed, and then the sun fixed. Mercury thing, Mars. So we got kind of, we got some staying power. We got a fixed energy here, big, so all of those little guys are represented. We have fire. Fire, we got a little bit of earth there with the rising. Air, yes, air, and water, yeah, so we got a lot of stuff represented. I'll probably, the first time you look at a chart, you kind of get one view, so we'll revisit this one and look at it. I want to do some bi-wheels come next end of October and see how things are lining up, and then even now, but there's definitely more tension on this guy. All right, thanks for listening. I hope that the audio was okay. I'm working on that for sure, and I hope you enjoyed this, and more to follow. Bye for now.